Hello, Flosstube. It is Julia, also known as Julicious, coming back again. Wow. So far, so good, eh? It is March the 31st, 2022. Happy Ron Swanson Day. More importantly, Happy Trans Day of Visibility. Transgender folks, I see you, I love you, I celebrate you, I will protect you. I have a t-shirt that says Protect Trans Kids on it that if I knew it was the Trans Day of Visibility before I got dressed this afternoon, I would have worn. But I'm wearing my Henry Rollins t-shirt because on Sunday night I went and saw Henry Rollins live in Philadelphia. And, well, actually outside of Philadelphia, but, you know. And you know who also supports and celebrates, loves, and will protect trans people? Is Mr. Henry Rollins. So all that extra love coming out there today, in addition to the fact that today, tomorrow, forever, Black lives still matter. Black trans lives matter, always. What are we talking about today? I'm going to try to be kind of quick because it's a lot earlier than I have been filming. It is like 7 p.m. Thanks to a couple of folks, well, more than a couple of folks, I got some really beautiful comments on my last video from Maria and from Ingeborg and from Trisha and from Vanessa and Abby. Thank you all so much, so much. I love you. And also Sarah from Stitchin' Mommy. Sarah, who said, "You're turning 40. Why not start all of the things that you're trying to figure out what to start? Just start them all." And I was horrified for about 10 seconds. And then I was like, well, crap, she's right, isn't she? So yeah. When I start all the things, I have no one to blame but Sarah. No, it's me. It's all me. But yeah, Sarah, I am gonna start all the things, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. We are in my office. Normally we are oriented this way, but I'm trying some different things with lighting. So you can see my fiber stash, and you can see my bookshelf, and you can see my cabinet, finishing supplies, floss and whip storage, and drawers of supplies right behind me. This is all fiber and yarn. You don't care. What was I saying? Anyway, so some WIPGO updates. April WIPGO plans, and I want to show you a couple of things that I got from Market. So let's get going. So last month, or this past month, the two things that came up on the WIPGO board for me were a newish start for me, going to Market. It is a Dimensions kit. It is out of print. I lucked out and found the full kit on eBay. And I had started in the middle and then had to frog but I was able to get up to the top, and so I can start working this from the top down, which I would like to do. And so far, so good. I'm a little disappointed, and I'm not sure at whom. I am not going to have enough of the kit floss to do this portion, to finish this portion of the background. Now, I am pretty confident this is DMC, and in the past, I think for Bag Ladies, the other kit, I was able to find which DMC number corresponds to which dimensions floss number refers to which DMC number. So I'm sure that I can just from my DMC stash finish this with no problem, but it's kind of annoying. And this is all, the background is all half stitches, and I was being very careful. Normally when I do, if it called for half stitches, I tend to prefer to do continental tent stitch because it doesn't warp the fabric as badly, but continental tent stitch eats floss. So I was just doing regular half stitch, trying my best. Still, I don't think there's quite enough. But you know what? That's a really big first world problem, and I will be fine. So that's where we are. I like it. I am learning to appreciate Ada a bit. I still don't love it, just the texture and the feel of it in my hand. But when you're stitching at 1:30 in the morning, because you are a night shift worker, and this hellscape is your life now, it's easier to see. And so I was grateful to that, even though I still prefer linen in teeny tiny counts because I'm a psychopath. But I appreciate you, Ada. I appreciate you. So that's going away for, I don't know, a bit. But fun, and wait, you don't want to see that. Yeah, good stuff. And then I spent most of March, because I thought, I bet I can finish this. This being the Witch's Garden Sampler by Not Forgotten Farm. And I thought, I bet I can finish that. I bet I can finish that. And guess what? I finished it. I finished it. Witch's Garden Sampler. This is on 40 count vintage country mocha linen. Using mostly the called for DMCs and some overdyed cottons as and when I felt like it. So, and I still have a goodly amount of fabric left over. I think I could do some smallish things on it, you know, maybe some of those little those ornament sized Blackbird patterns that I love. But anyway, I am looking forward to framing this and putting it on my wall, probably in here somewhere. Yeah. A change I made. I'll have to put it, I don't remember the numbers. down here, the grow ye well in thy garden, sit a spell in my garden, till toil tend thy soil. The green, I frogged and replaced with this current green, because what is called for is actually the same color as you can see in this little snake and the leaves in this pot and the green leaves on this tree. And you couldn't read it very well. Like, it was bothering me, and then I thought, oh, I bet you I'm just gonna keep going. I think it's gonna be fine. And then my 11-year-old said, what does that say? And I thought, okay, we gotta change it. We gotta make it a little darker. So that's what I did. No regrets. So hey, first finish of the year. Very happy about that. Okay. Ta-da. What else did I work on? I also have been working on whips from the Bird Crush Club, Lindy Stitch's Bird Crush Club. I finished Stellar's J, and I am simultaneously working on black-bellied whistling ducks and the broad-billed hummingbird. I am stitching these all on the same piece of 40 count linen from XJU Designs in the colorway Lamb's Wool. I probably should have chosen a slightly darker linen, but it is what it is. I say that because the flowers in the hummingbird pattern are white, and I think I need to change them to either a very pale pink or a very pale blue, or probably a very pale pink or a very, very pale blue, just to make it stand out. I mean, you can see, I think in the camera you can see that, but in real life it's a bit of a stretch. So I did end up frogging the whistling ducks, and then starting to stitch the letters in the correct spot. And I put in their sweet little faces. And I have an email from Stephanie saying that the 4th installment of the Bird Crush Club is on the way, so that will go over under Stellar's J. I am stitching, so the hummingbird's belly is stitched in this Threadworks overdyed called Seafoam. And in the pattern, Stephanie recommends to it's this whole belly is in this color, but she recommends to stitch very haphazardly to avoid striping, because little hummingbirds do not have stripy bellies. So that's what I'm doing. I stitched very haphazardly, and then I think what I'm going to do either this evening or the next time I get down to it is just start kind of going in a bit of a spiral. But we'll see. So that is the Bird Crush Club. And my partner just got home from the store, so there may be some noise. Speaking of Lindy Stitches, pretty much the only thing that I wanted from Market that I saw and I wanted on site was the Loose Rooster limited edition kit. I don't know if I've said this before, but I have reached the point in my life where I'm just going to lean into things that I love, like cats and all animals, little living creatures. So I had to have him. And the reason I had to have this sweet rooster, well, I mean, look at him. Look at him. I had purchased a couple of years ago, probably almost 3 years ago now, the first limited edition animal bird kit that Steph had did for market. I think the last market before COVID was her strutting Tom, and I am so proud of this finish because I put this together, and the chenille trim looks terrible because I don't like working with chenille trim. I would much rather do cording or like little mini poms, but I made it work. I just love this turkey. I keep him out all year round on a shelf in my office so I can see him every day. I'm just so proud because my sewing skills are not the best, and so if I can put together a Lindy Stitches kit, I think you can easily put together a Lindy Stitches kit. So I think that the loose rooster and Tom will get up to much shenanigans together. So hooray for that. I don't think I'd ever actually shown that finish, so that's why I wanted to do that. What else did I get from market? I think I ended up picking up the new Blackbird book, A Heart Remembers, and that's it. This wasn't a market release, but I finally purchased Works by ABC's Rosanna. What is her last name? I can't remember. It's the reproduction sampler from the girl from the New York African Free School. And I believe I bought it because I know there is a stitch along that's going to be starting with that pattern for Sampler September this year. So I will probably slap it on a piece of 40 count and call it good. Lipco. So the numbers for April are 10 and 7. I haven't actually looked at plotted things on my Whipco board in a long time. I don't know if I'm close to getting a bingo or not. I don't particularly care right now. 7, I believe, corresponds to my Emily Fairy. What is my Emily Fairy? That would be Halloween Fairy by Mirabilia, which I believe you can still purchase this kit. Well, I'm pretty sure 123 Stitch sells it. I would imagine if you have an LNS near you, they could source this for you. To my knowledge, it is not out of print. I am stitching this. I swapped out the kit fabric because this pattern reminds me very much of our dear Emily C. Eclectic Possessions, who also turned 40 this year. All the 1982 babies, all the cool 1982 babies. Rocking it this year. Because I associate this pattern with Emily, I had to stitch it on a piece of Murky by Picture This Plus, because this is one of Emily's favorite fabrics. And I have to say, I see why. It's fun and funky, and I think it suits this design really well. I've still got a ways to go on it, but maybe I'll make the goal to fill in her dress. Maybe that'll be my goal this month. Finish filling in her dress, or maybe alternate. Like I can do one length of thread on the dress, one length of thread on the wings, and just go back and forth for the month. And then number 10, I was pleasantly, well, not surprised because I put it on the board, But Huckleberry Farm by the Blue Flower. I'm stitching this on a piece of 36 count amethyst from Picture This Plus, using the called for colors. And here's where I am, not very far. It is tedious work. Lots of color changes. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this little vignette, fill in the mountains and the grass, and possibly then start the house. That's what I'm thinking. I should probably be responsible and work on the border, but I don't want to. So that is a goal. Finish this little scene with the bear in the mountains and start the house. I think that is a tangible goal. And this lives in an old pillowcase. It seemed appropriate at the time. What else was I going to talk to you all about? I think I was going to show you my birthday plans. So for sure, we're going to be starting Maggie the Messmaker. If you have Maggie the Messmaker, and you either haven't started her yet and want to, or you are working on her and would like to work on her in the month of June with me, please do. Maggie the Messmaker, we're going to do Skinny Wolf Farm. I chose a fabric from Stash. I was a member of, I spent 1 year doing the Picture This Plus Fabric of the Month Club. So I have a nice little nest egg in my stash. I'm going to stitch this on a piece of 36 count linen in the colorway Wren. Calls for a 36 count natural linen, so meh. I think it'll look nice on Wren, so we're going to try that. And I'm going to start the Garden Clump series. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm gonna start with this one, because something that working on Bird Crush Club all on one piece of fabric is teaching me that I'm not necessarily sure that's gonna work. That's gonna be how I want to do series like this. However, what might be fun is to do something like the way the ladies at Blackbird ended up doing their garden club, which was they stitched them each individually on pieces of fabric and then just kind of pieced them together. That's half of them, obviously, but I think that might be fun. So tentatively, that's what I will do, but we're going to start in June with Basket of Cherries. And I think the fabric I grabbed randomly is a piece of Picture This Plus in sand. I might, this is just a stand-in, I'm not, it looks a lot more like sand on camera here. It in person, it has a bit more of a peachy, it reads more peachy to me, but I'm still, we're gonna see. Hold that thought. But I have time to make a decision there. And then what I think I'm going to do is, as a present to me, what I'm going to do is I am going to purchase Blackbird Designs Away We Ride. I'm going to look through my stash and see if I have a piece of linen that will work. And I'm going to purchase the Vicki Clayton of HDF Silks thread pack for Away We Ride. Because why not? Because when I said in my last video that, you know, my pie in the sky, what I would really like to do is that, I figured why not do that? It's not like it's a chatelaine or something. It's not going to completely break the bank. The pattern's like $9. So, yeah. If any of those things sound like fun to you, or if you have a pattern you want to start or that you're working on that has a cat in it, like, should we just stitch that with me in June? Or if you're stitching Away We Ride, or if you're stitching any Blackbird, or any pattern that you look at and be like, that reminds me of Julia. I don't care. Join me in June. Does that sound like fun? I don't know. Anyway, I hope wherever you are in the world that you are doing well, and that you are safe, and that you are loved, and that you're treating your fellow humans and other sentient beings with kindness and grace. And I hope that, yeah, wishing you all good things. All right, friends, I'll see you next month. Take care. Have a good one, and I'll catch you around the internet.